and basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience. This is the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast.
NBA, some college, a little bit of everything.
You know, what can I say? But it wasn't going to happen here with him. I was okay with it because it wasn't about talent.
Hey, everybody. Time for Bob Ryan, Gary Tanguay, our Zoom and Pod. And I got to tell you, Bob's in a mood. Bob is in a mood. It's going to be a good one. But first, we have to tell you that our exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network is FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and shoot your shot. 200 points scored in the All-Star game. Bob, I thought of you. I heard you in my head through the entire game last night. What an abomination.
Well, number one, I didn't last for the entire game. First of all, the NBA is guilty of fraudulent advertising, of consumer fraud, because they have pitched this as a basketball game.
Well, they tried.
It's not a basketball game. It is.
But Bob, Silver tried, right? I mean, what can you do? They went back to the old format. He tried. He can't make them do it.
Well, this is worrisome because, number one, it's obvious I hated the thing. I left at the end of the first quarter. Right. I knew after two possessions nothing had changed. We knew that. Nothing changed. All right. But now I pick up the paper this morning, the Boston Globe, and Gary Washburn is telling us, reporting to us, all the things that were being said and done during the day, hoping that these players would cooperate and play a real game of basketball.
Right.
The best players in the world actually play a real game of basketball. And basically what they did, Gary, was give the middle finger to everybody. Give the middle finger to Silver, to Larry Bird, by the way, who was and just said, no, we're going to do it our way. And now I have to agree that some people out there, I would think no older than 30, maybe 40, that liked it. Nobody possibly who liked the game over 40 could stomach what they saw last night.
I mean, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter.
The age gap for sure in this whole thing, but it was a farce. A total.
Well, there was this from Antonio on Twitter, tweeting at you and me. Bob Ryan, Gary Tanguay, chill. It's an all-star game. Huck up some threes, have some flashy dunks, and send our stars back home healthy. And then, of course, he has a picture. I don't know if I'm violating copyright rules, but then he has a picture of an old man from The Simpsons yelling. Old man yells.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was this? I didn't get who told me.
Antonio, some guy on Twitter.
Guy Twitter.
It says we're a couple of old men yelling at the clouds.
Oh, I got a lot of that. I get that. That's nothing original. So tell him, come up with something new. That's not original. Okay. A big deal. I'm supposed to be hurt by that? Are you kidding me? It's just, here's the thing. Some people honestly think that this is the only way it can be. Thoughts like that prevail. There have been historically, not in a while, someone just posted an X that 2001 was the last really good game. I'm not sure, but that when these guys showed up, had competitive pride in their craft and pride in their accomplishments, and wanted to play a real basketball game because of the competition involved and the pride that they could outdo the other great players on the other side. That pride actually existed. These people now obviously don't think that way. And I don't know why they don't think that way. You'd think that they would want to show off their real skill and play the real game of basketball, but no, they don't want to do that. And so, you know, all right, if this is what people want, if our viewpoint is a minority viewpoint, all right, so be it. That's it. But people, I'm just telling them, all-star games do not have to be that way, basketball. They can be very competitive, and I've covered them and I've seen them, and I miss them because that can be a really compelling event. But now it's not basketball, it's just a joke.
I cannot imagine if Larry Bird and Magic Johnson suited up today, they could not play the game the way they played it today. If you put Larry and Magic out there at any point in time in their lives, they could only go at it 100%.
How about Michael?
And Mike, oh my God, Michael couldn't do it any other way.
Or Bill Russell, or I mean, no, they wouldn't even understand the concept of not going out and playing hard in a game that is supposed to represent the pinnacle of achievement in their sport. The honor of being there is tremendous. And LeBron was expounding upon that even after last night about how excited, while watching Jalen Brunson's reaction at being a first-time All-Star and all that. And I'm sure it was true. But then then they go out and make a mockery out of your craft with you know how many personal fouls were in that game, Gary? Do you?
I don't.
3. There were 5 free throws attempted last night. The 3 personal fouls were by Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, and Trae Young. The free throws shot, Maxey was 2 for 2, Giannis was 1 for 2, and Paul George was 1 for 1. Now, please. Huh? Yeah. Guys, gals, don't tell me, do not look me in the eye and tell me that you love basketball and then you can endorse what that took place last night. Because that's contradictory. That's totally contradictory. That wasn't basketball.
I always try to look for, the golden means. Like, let's look for a compromise. The reality is, you could still have a competitive game and not risk injury and take care of players. For example, LeBron played what? I don't know, 10 minutes or something. So what? That's fine. It's his 20th All-Star game. LeBron's 39, 40 years old. If he wants to play 10 minutes, he can play 10 minutes. You don't have to beat people up. You don't have to play physically as you would, say, in a game 7 of a playoff, but you can be competitive.
You can guard somebody. Okay, LeBron played 14 minutes.
14 minutes, I stand corrected. I was surprised he played that much.
Yeah, he played 14 minutes.
And I'm okay with that. Like guys like LeBron, I'm okay. You want to go out there, you want to play 10, whatever, fine. I'm okay with that. This is a time for the Brunsons of the world, to get some playing time. Let them go crazy. But I agree with you, Bob. Yeah. I watched it for longer than you. I watched it in the second quarter, and then I turned on True Detective on HBO.
Well, I turned away from it, and let's see. I got some notes here. It was 25-20 before the 5-minute mark. I knew they were on a 200-point pace. Before 6 minutes had elapsed, they're on a 200-point pace. Yeah. So I turned it off, and I came back to it. And when I came back to it with 2:02 to go, it was 44-42. And so in the first period. And then I said, that's it. I turned it off. In the end of the first period, I turned it off. Went upstairs, see you later. And
when I did the math, and you don't have to be a mathematical genius. When I saw that 200 points was in reach, I said, I'm out. I see you later.
No, I mean, it could be, you think about what could be with these guys, how good they are. But we know they can shoot open jump shots, open threes.
That's for sure.
The numbers are great. The West took 72 twos. I'm surprised they actually had that close a ratio, and 71 threes. The East, though, they were good. The East took 49 twos and 97 threes.
97 threes.
There were 289 shots attempted, 168 threes, and 121 twos. I don't remember any twos.
God.
Oh, yeah, the layups, the uncontested.
Yeah, the wide open layups.
The uncontested coast-to-coast layups. That's what were the twos. I'd like to know how many 15-foot jump shots, because I didn't see any.
Oh, I didn't see any. No, those. You hardly get those in a game.
Yeah, you're right. You don't get those in a game.
Bob,
well, anyway,
as we move on.
And by the way, just since we're talking All-Star, serious note here. And not that I'm not serious, but Boston, as you probably know, has applied for the 2029
right.
game. And, it's a very complex undertaking because you have to have civic cooperation and commercial cooperation. And, I'm just saying. So we haven't had one since 1964, and that's hard. And that was the one that the players wanted almost. They threatened not to play. They were going to boycott, and because of the a union situation that they were trying to get started. And that's where Walter Brown famously called Tommy Heinsohn. Are you ready for this one? A heel. a very stinging 20th century accusation.
Yeah,
He's Tommy, you're a heel.
I'm sure Tommy, that really hurt him. That cut deep.
Oh God, that's great. All right. Well,
Great.
anyway, it's over, and now we get back to action on Thursday.
Well, I hope it happens in Boston, and because anytime, when I want people to come to this city. I think, look, it's flawed. We understand that. I would love to see it here.
I'm all for having something happen, but anyway, I want people to. I recommend go read this story because there's other things now. Having ranted and raved about what it was and everything else, there's some very interesting observations in this Gary Washburn story from Steph Curry about the nature of the day for them, and
right.
If you wanted them to play, the conditions for the players as they sit through interminable delays and crap and stuff is it's not conducive to playing well, even if you wanted to. And they don't obviously want to. But I recommend people reading this. Go grab it.
Get your buckets with your first bet at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams, quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Boston and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So from the Boston Globe and Boston.com, because originally when I texted this information to Bob thought I had done all this research. So I want to give credit where credit is due. The Celtics right now, 6 games in first place, best record in the NBA, and they have a pretty easy schedule coming up in the second half, Bob. Now, for the first 3 weeks, it's tougher, but after that,
well, I broke it down too. They've got 27 left, 12 home, 15 road, and there are 2 significant road trips. One, there's a week trip starting on March 5th. Cleveland, Denver. This is the Denver, Phoenix, Portland, Utah. And then they've got a second 6-gamer from March 22nd to April 1, Detroit, Chicago, 2 in Atlanta, which is interesting in itself, but even more interesting, a 3-day gap. They're going to sit in Atlanta for 3 days?
Yes, that's not good. I mean, that's
back-to-backs are they're bringing them back a little bit. And I covered one of those 50 years ago in Houston, but and then New Orleans and Charlotte. And then they end up 6 of their last 7 at home. If there's any issues, that they need to have resolved in terms of the conference, 6 of the last 7 are at home. So that'll be nice. But they're on a pace. The pace I said is 64 right now. They're certainly going to win 60. And become the latest group of Celtic teams to win 60.
Is there danger in this schedule?
Well,
complacency.
Oh, yeah. But this is where Joe's got to crack the whip, if you will, in that regard. We're going to see if they've learned their lessons. We all agree, you and me, and I think most people, that they have enough talent to win this thing. It's not going to be nobody's going to out talent them. So they can be outfought, yes, outthought and fought, out hustled, but they can't be out talented because nobody's got as much talent as the roster, the first 8. And now we'll see how Tillman. That's my number one question now.
Right?
How are they going to integrate Tillman? How much time? I think he's basically a Horford insurance,
right?
More than anything, and he's certainly not a Porzingis insurance, but he's a Horford insurance. But I want to see how that works out, and if he is going to have a role that's going to matter, which I think that was what they hoped. So that's going to be my big area of curiosity right now is how they're going to integrate Tillman and what he will bring, if anything, to the table.
When you look at the schedule, I do think it's beneficial in that Porzingis will get plenty of rest.
Porzingis, we got to treat him like a Ming vase. There's no question. And he's so important now. We've seen he's whetted our appetite. We know how I didn't know he was this good. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I know.
I can't say it enough. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I did not know he was this good. And I'm thrilled to have him. But they're one team with him and one team and a very different team without him. And so that's been established. So yes, we need to keep him healthy. And he just seems to have a knack for things. Twinges,
right,
gasps,
right.
And spasms, and
how important though?
things.
I mean, they're in control. They should have the top seed. So how important is it for them to have that top seed?
Well, when you start off 20-0 at home, it tells you something, and pretty damn important. That bailed out even the vaunted 85-86 Celtics. Had struggled a little bit with Houston in the finals,
right?
And it was, and so they only beat them at 6 when people thought they were going to sweep them, I think sure you want to be home. It's not determinate. I don't think right. It's going to make life a lot easier. That's.
Let's talk about Jayson Tatum for a minute and his presence this weekend. We know how you felt about the game. Yeah. But the fact that he had an opportunity to meet Larry Bird, which floored me that he hadn't met Bird yet.
Well, that's because Larry hasn't been a presence here in a long time. Remember he started coaching 25 years ago or 27 years ago. He got the
right.
97. He got the Indiana job, and really ever since then he hasn't had any presence here that I can remember.
Right, but I just figured he's been around the NBA.
But a lot. As an alum, some alums come by, but no, you think that maybe it's somewhere along the way, right? That would have been, but it hadn't. And he seemed very thrilled by the whole thing, and that's nice. And he's showing, he's coming out. More. He's comfortable in his own skin in public, and I think, and recognizing his inherent leadership responsibility, if you will, on this team, and that's good, very heartening.
I think it's good. I saw a presence. We talked about how he's working with bringing wealth to the neighborhood he grew up in, and how he's being a community activist. And he did a great job on the CBS Morning News. But he just seemed like a veteran presence. He just seemed like a mature presence there. Yep. I was like, okay, it's no longer the kid. Jayson Tatum, professional basketball player, has arrived. And again, they come in at 19.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering, I'm just throwing this out there. It could be completely off base and irrelevant. It had nothing to do with anything. But I'm wondering if he isn't being influenced looking at Brown's presence and
maybe. Maybe.
Sure. Brown doesn't have these. Brown, he's been out there, as a personality from day one.
Personality and an activist.
He came in here, as a confident young man, and not and very willing to show us that. But I just think maybe he's playing. He's learning how to do it from Brown, maybe in that sense.
He looks very comfortable.
Now I could be crazy. I could be completely wrong.
No. I mean, I think so. I think you look around and you see, but I also think he just seems to be very comfortable right now in his role.
Absolutely.
And I do want to give credit to Bird, because Bird, as long as I can remember, has always said it's like, he doesn't want to be compared to the players of today. He was like that, this is their time. We had our time. And he seems to be a fan, and he's supportive of them. And he's not one of these old bastards like back when I played, he can't, you know what I mean? Like, and he could be. It was more physical, it was a harder league. We didn't make as much money, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't do that. He seems to be a fan of the youth of today.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And that's good. It's nice to know.
It is good.
I can think of a few others that, and the generation before him, who were exactly like that.
Right.
And you know, I'll tell you who, Oscar and Jerry,
Yeah.
and Oscar particularly, you know, and that's just. And by the way, it's nice to see. Didn't he look good? He's over 80, you know. He looked good.
Yeah,
Oscar.
oh,
You
yeah.
saw the camera. He looked. I was good, and I want people to remember, you know, his name. That's one thing I liked about when Westbrook was on the triple double binge, is they brought Oscar Robertson's name back into the consciousness of
Oh,
people.
yeah.
And you want to remind people how good he was. So anyway, that's another aside. But you're right about that. I think Larry is good, and it's good that Larry's like that. And
You know, the one thing you could say about the sport of basketball, Bob, compared to the other sports, the legendary depth continues to grow because, you know, the NHL has changed. Obviously, it's definitely more skill than force. The NBA has changed. I mean, the NFL has changed now, where defensive players just can't have as much of a presence as they once did. They just can't. Baseball, I think, has some issues because it's just not as popular as it once was with the younger generation. But with the NBA, you know, pretty soon we're going to have pretty good debates about the top 100 of all time.
oh, of course we are. I love that discussion, and you're right. But when the 75 came out, and I was privileged to be one of the voters, you know, right away I started saying, okay, somebody's going to have to make room for Jokic and Giannis and, you know, and Doncic, and it's clear it's going to be this case. And now we've got, you know, even more new ones, and oh yeah, it's going to like Damian Lillard. I voted. He was my number 75. All right. Well, you know, we'll see if he can hold on to that when you know, when it's all said and done. So probably not. So you know, it's true. We've got a wonderful crop right now, and of fine young players.
They can all shoot. They can all dribble. They know how to play. They understand moving without the ball. They can play defense when they choose to. You know, that's always going to be a thing. You know, some people are going to say, I need more. Well, you'll see them step up defensively in the playoffs when they have to, not in all-star games. But when you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, not just anybody. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's important. You want to have quality candidates to interview. And with LinkedIn Jobs, it makes it so easy to find them. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion, that's with a B, 1 billion professionals, which make it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals that you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have so many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats. I mean, you have a lot of jobs to do, right? While you're growing. And you might not have the time or the resources to sit there and do the hiring. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They've even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process quicker, easier, less of a hassle. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/scribe. That's linkedin.com/scribe to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So, Bob, the other thing we had this, somebody on Twitter came up with this question because you talked about the All Indy 5 and you had a couple of write-in votes.
Yeah.
And there was someone on X that asked about an All New England 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm very confident in. It's a tough call to get that down to 5, but and help me. I'm not claiming an omniscience here. I may have forgotten some very obvious person, but you start off with Patrick Ewing,
Sure,
who you know, though not born here, was raised in Cambridge and is American through and through. He's raised in Cambridge, Mass. Calvin Murphy from Norwalk, Connecticut. Clearly,
I didn't know he was from Norwalk.
Oh yes, Norwalk, Connecticut. Calvin Murphy. They're 1, 2 that I would cite. Okay, now we're talking about here, folks, is people born in or raised in New England. Not okay, not just going to college there, but if
Right.
okay. Now it gets sticky. Michael Adams,
Oh, right.
Hartford, Connecticut. Dana Barros from Mattapan, Boston, Massachusetts. That's 4. And now I go 4 and 5. And of course, there's one very asterisky one because his career was so abortive. I'll get to him. Marcus Camby from Connecticut, or Ronnie Lee from Boston via Lexington High School. He was a rookie of the year, Ronnie Lee.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't a long career.
Yeah,
it was a meteoric career with Phoenix. Then he got traded, and he was out of the league fairly quickly with injury. But okay,
did he win the dunk contest one year?
I don't think so. I don't know for sure. I can't count.
Maybe I'm with somebody.
I'm not a big connoisseur of the dunk. To me, the dunk contest, after a 5'7" guy won, they should have said, "Okay, that's it. It's over." I really don't care if a 6'11" guy can dunk.
Camby played forever.
Now, the great what if guy from New England is Ernie D.
Right. From
Providence. Ernie D was the rookie of the year. Ernie D was in the second year when he got hurt. Second year. He got hurt. I can tell you the date. He got hurt on October 25th, 1974, in an exhibition game. He got hurt in Portland or so. He got hurt, and his knee was never the same, and he was never the same. Never. Okay? So that career never got a chance. But he was rookie of the year. Let's remember that. Led the league in assists and free throws. Marvin. What do we do with Marvin? There's another
Marvin
what
Barnes.
if. Marvin Barnes, all right, it's another what if. And okay, so there's the names. And for now, I'm being something of a smart ass here. Don't forget Cindy Blodgett.
That's fair.
All right. And
what about Cooper
Lobo.
Flagg? Cooper Flagg.
And Rebecca Lobo from South.
Yeah.
And so okay, so if we had to go 5, Ewing, Murphy, Barros, Adams, that's 2 BC guys. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. And Camby. It wasn't a long career, but it had an impact. And that 99 Knick team that, it was great college. But it's funny about Camby. Wake Forest played at UMass in before the Duncan senior season. And it was a ballyhooed game. You can imagine that's 2 big men. And Camby outplayed him. And if you came out of that night and said which one of them is going to become an all-time NBA player,
right, you
would have said Marcus Camby.
Right.
Not. That's how good he was at the time. So there you go. Interesting. It was fun. It was a fun thing to think about because I never really specifically thought about it that much. But so there you go.
All right, Bob. Well, you won't have to worry about an All-Star game until what, July something with the Major League All-Star game. So
yeah, Major League All-Star. Well, people say anyway. Yeah, we'll get to that, of course. But anyway, I just urge people get a hold of this story. If you go online, if you don't have the Globe option to buy, and read the story, and then come away and ask yourself, well, if all that, and this is the way they wanted to treat it,
right?
Really, it's really concerning. Okay.
All right, Bob. Brought to you by our exclusive wagering partner at the CLNS Media Network, FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. We will track down Mr. Goodman, and we'll talk to you again.
Very good.